Agrarian reform efforts under Ferdinand Marcos. September 21, 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law enabling him to essentially wipe out the landlord-dominated Congress. Technocrats, the person who is able to expand power to start a fundamental restructuring of government problems of the countryside. 5 days after the proclamation of martial law, President Marcos issued Presidential Decree No. 27, or the Code of Agrarian Reform of the Philippines, emancipating the tenant farmers from the bondage of soil. In one stroke, tenant farmers in all private agricultural lands primarily devoted to rice and corn were deemed owners of the lands they were tilling. These shall apply to tenant farmers of private agricultural land primarily under a system of sharecrop or lease tenancy, whether classified as landed estate or not. The tenant farmers, whether in land classified as landed or not, shall be deemed owner of a portion constituting a family-sized farm. 5 hectares not irrigated, 3 hectares irrigated. In all cases, the landowner may retain an area of not more than 7 hectares. In determining the cost of the land to be transferred to tenant farmers will be equivalent to 2.5 the average harvest of 3 normal crop years immediately preceding the promulgation of this decree. The total cost of the land, including at the rate of 6% per annum.
Eventually, the rise of the agrarian reform movement has significantly contributed to the government's agrarian reform program's partial success. However, the government has not been able to fully harness the power of this movement to push for more rapid and more meaningful agrarian reform. Because of the CARP's inherent loopholes in the law, strong landowner resistance, and the New People Army's constant advocacy of its own agrarian revolution, it was only partially successful in breaking up land monopolies. Despite knowing the evolution of how agrarian reform has contributed to the improvement of the socio-economic conditions of landless farmers and the political development of the Philippines in terms of involving the landless in policy making and the distribution of large private landholdings, it appears that poverty and inequality are still prevalent in many rural areas.
Agrarian reform is the government's response to resolve the land-related conflicts in the Philippines that have been ongoing for centuries. This conflict stems from the landlessness of the farmers and the abusive landowners, where the tenants are constantly extorted, as well as the lack of support and action from the government. Agrarian reform efforts started during the American era and have continued in the present. This is done by purchasing land and distributing them among landless farmers, providing legal support to the abuse, and by legislating laws to address the injustices and to provide a healthier landlord-tenant relationships.
Post-war intervention towards agrarian reform. It was after a war where administration of President Rush established 70 to 30 allocations arrangement between landowners and tenants, whereas they reduced their interest at 6% or less. The Marcos Land Reform Program is they confiscating rice or corn lands estimated over 7 hectares by giving it to qualified tenants of the landowner. Agrarian reform project support services include institutional development, physical development, agricultural, and human resources development. The land tenure improvement include compact farming, cooperative farming, and land consolidation and the formation